Good morning, greetings. How is everybody doing? Imagine a very long time ago when music couldn't be written or read and could only be learned from live performance. A monk named Guido di Arezzo dreamed of finding a way to write music as words are written in books, so that people far and wide could read and learn melodies. With creativity, passion, and perseverance, one humble man invented a way to share music across the world. So this book is about music. I love this book. I got it from the library. It's fairly new. You're gonna love it too. There's the guy. What's the guy's name again? Guido. There he is. He's a monk. Do you know what a monk is? Maybe I'll tell you if you don't know at the end. Beloved musical icon Julie Andrews and best-selling author Emma Walton Hamilton introduced readers to the remarkable true tale of the first notes. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. And then it begins again. Do. Enhanced with lush illustrations, fascinating historical facts, and an exuberant visual celebration of the classic song, Do, Re, Mi. This is a great book about music. Oh, you're going to love this book. The art is by Chiara Fideli. I hope I said that right. The book is by Julie Andrews and Emma Walton Hamilton, and it's called The First Notes, the story of Do, Re, Mi. I love this book. You're gonna love it too. Oh, yes, this is a great book. Look at that. It looks like a pear tree, doesn't it? Doesn't it look like it has pears on it? Dear reader, let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start. When you read, you begin with A, B, C. When you sing, you begin with Do, Re, Mi. These are the first words of a famous song from a musical called The Sound of Music. Maybe you know the part of the song that goes like this. Do, a deer, a female deer. Re, a drop of golden sun. Mi, a name I call myself. Far, a long, long way to run. The song teaches us the names of the notes that make up our musical scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. Together they are called solfege, pronounced solfege. Whether you play these notes on an instrument or simply sing them, their names are always the same. They are the building blocks of how we learn music. There was a time when no one knew how to read or write music. The only way to learn a song was to hear it sung by someone else and then remember it. This made many things confusing. This made things very confusing, since the people's memories were not always reliable. But in those days, no one had a better way to teach music. This book was inspired by the true story of one dedicated monk who loved music so much that he invented a new way to teach it and changed the way we understand music today. Julie Andrews and Emma Walton Hamilton. Now, isn't that very interesting? 1,000 years ago, in a small community of Pomposia, Italy, isn't that a cool place? A boy named Guido was sent to a monastery to begin his schooling. What is a monastery? Maybe at the end I'll tell you. Or maybe your teacher knows. Raise your hand and ask her. She might know. A boy named Guido was sent to a monastery to begin his schooling. In those days, a monastery was considered the best place to receive an education. The monks who lived and taught there were studious and wise. Studious? That's an interesting word, studious. I guess they love to study, and they did a good job at it. Young Guido spent his days learning Latin, math, astronomy, and his favorite subject, music. He heard music everywhere in the warm voices of the monks chanting their prayers and in the chiming of the bells that summoned them to chapel several times a day. He heard it in the sounds of nature, in the splish-splashing of the stream where he fished with his friend Brother Michael, in the buzz and hum of bees and crickets in the monastery garden, and in a lilting song of the nightingale that lulled him to sleep at night. Wow. Guido yearned to know everything about music and dreamed of one day teaching it to others. But learning music was hard. Day after day, week after week, Guido listened, memorized, and practiced, knowing it could take 10 years to master the complicated hymns and harmonies he loved so much. When he wasn't studying, Guido worked in the monastery's great library. He often wondered why music couldn't be written down and read like words in books. That is a good question, Guido. Very good question. When you have a good question, sometimes it's good to figure out the answer to the question and make a remedy yourself. Guido thought about this a lot. One day while practicing his hymns, he made a discovery. He was only singing 6 basic notes. No matter how high or low he sang, no matter what melody, the same tones repeated themselves. He found a piece of parchment and made a small mark on it to represent the lowest note. Then he drew another and another, stacking each mark higher than the next, just as he had been singing them. His heart beat faster as he drew lines between and through the marks, as if they were climbing a ladder. Great idea, Guido. By the way, there is a reason they don't have hair on the top of their head. Maybe I'll tell you at the end. And if I forget to tell you, it's in the back of the book, so just go to the library and check out this book. It's a great book. I love it. Could this be a way to write music? If so, then each of the 6 marks would need a name. Humming his favorite hymn, he noticed that it, too, had 6 parts. This is written in Latin. He took the first syllable from each line of his hymn and noted it next to the one of the marks he had made on the parchment, going from the bottom to the top. La, sol, fa, mi, re, ut. Ut, re, mi, fa, sol, la. He sang each syllable aloud, raising his voice step by step to match the way the notes marched up the lines. Guido thought he might have burst with excitement. If all the chants, all the hymns, all the harmonies could be written down in this way, maybe people could learn to read music. Then they would always know the correct melody to sing, even if they had never heard it before. Wow, brilliant. He's coming up with a system to read music. Great job, Guido. Great job. Wow, he got so excited. Look at the great artwork in this book. Clutching his parchment, see, back then they wrote on parchment instead of paper, so parchment is how they had to write things down. Clutching his parchment to his chest, he raced across the courtyard to share his discovery with his teachers. But the monks simply shrugged and turned back to their work. They had no interest in trying something new. One even suggested that Guido should spend less time thinking up foolish ideas and more time praying. Heavy-hearted, Guido trudged back to his chamber. In the days that followed, Guido grew despondent. Instead of fishing and gardening, instead of singing and enjoying all the sounds of music around him, he kept to himself, and his world became quiet. Aw, for Guido. One day, a visitor arrived at the monastery. Bishop Theobald of Arezzo was searching for a teacher to train the choir singers at his great cathedral. The bishop had heard of Guido's passion for music and invited him to take the position. Guido quickly accepted. Oh, he was so excited. It's like his dreams are coming true. Look at, he's got to travel to a new place. Look at the beautiful mountains. Guido left Pomposa and began the journey to his new home. The sun warmed his back, songbirds twittered, and the clip-clopping of his donkey's hooves made a happy rhythm as he jogged along. A breeze whispered through the olive trees, and the tall cypresses stood to attention. Guido began to hum and then to sing. Look at those little red things that come out of his mouth. I think that kind of stands for a song in this book. Don't you? Wow, look at all those songs coming out of their mouths. Bishop Theobald welcomed Guido, and when the young monk shared his musical ideas, the bishop did not shrug or turn away. He clapped his hands in delight and encouraged Guido to teach this new method to his cathedral singers. As Guido worked with his pupils, he sometimes pointed to his hand, where he had written the musical notes. Within days, the choir had mastered hymns they had never heard before. Amazed, the bishop urged Guido to write a book about his revolutionary ideas. Guido dedicated his book to the kindly bishop. Great idea! Great idea! Look at this! Look at this! Interesting. Word of Guido's innovative approach to teaching music began to spread far and wide. Early one morning, the clatter of hooves and a fanfare of trumpeters resounded through the grand piazza of Arezzo. I'm sure I didn't say that right. Piazza of Arezzo. Sleepy villagers tumbled out of their homes to see what the commotion was about. Commotion kind of means like excitement. I'm sure you figured that out. 3 magnificently robed cardinals carried a message from Pope John the 19th, the most important leader in the land, The Pope had heard of Guido's musical theories, and he was summoning the young monk to Rome so he could see them for himself. Wow, that's great. That is great. The Pope immersed himself in Guido's ideas and was so impressed by the ease with which he was able to learn new melodies that he suggested Guido stay in Rome permanently to teach the Roman clergy. Wow, this is so exciting. But Guido politely declined the Pope's offer. Though honored by the invitation, he preferred to return to his simple pastoral life in Arezzo. It is said that on his way home, Guido stopped at the monastery in Pomposa, where the monks who had been so disagreeable now welcomed him and apologized sincerely for their lack of faith in him. Guido surely would have forgiven them, grateful to have realized his dream of teaching music and to have made his joys easier for people to learn. Guido's system of musical notation, now called solfege, eventually spread throughout Europe and across the world. Many years later, Guido's square notes became oval notes. The first note, ut, was changed to do, and a seventh note, ti, was added to become the musical scale we know and use today and the basis for the song Do, Re, Mi. Imagine if Guido could have heard that famous song, what fun he might have had singing it with his students. What fun he might have had singing it with his students. Do, a deer, a female deer. Re, a drop of golden sun. Me, a name I call myself. Far, a long, long way to run. So, a needle pulling thread. La, a note to follow. So, tea, a drink with jam and bread. That will bring us back to do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. What a fun book. I love it. And there's some really cool stuff in the back. If you check this book out, you might get to read some of this cool stuff. A day in Guido's life at Pomposa Abbey. Whoa, look at that. The Guidonian hand. It's got music on it. Hey, you gotta check this book out. A historical note, stuff about Guido for music lovers everywhere. Oh, you gotta go check this out. Yeah, you gotta check this out. You know what? There's so much good stuff in here. There's Rodgers and Hammerstein. Oh yeah, they're very famous. Look at that. You really need to check this book out. Yeah. Actually, there's a secret surprise in here that will tell you why he didn't have hair on the top of his head. You gotta go check it out, okay? Love you guys. Have a good day. Don't forget to eat healthy. Also, if you want to hear more good stories, like it, subscribe, and hit the notification button to get more good stories. I think I'll be reading this one soon. Okay, bye-bye, guys.